Now we are going to talk about SAP PO invoices. So in the before slide, before portion we discussed about SAP non-PO invoices. But SAP PO invoices is the ideal situation in any company. SAP PO invoices should be encouraged because there is three-way match, four-way match done, and ideally every company should have SAP PO invoices at the percentage of 75 to 90%. It's not 100% because it's not possible. So to be realistic, if you are doing around 90%, it's really good. Worst case, if you're doing 75%, you probably want to increase. So the main transaction for SAP invoices, PO invoices, is Miro, MIRO. Okay, and for every PO invoices, as the name indicates, it needs a purchase order or a scheduling agreement. Scheduling agreement is nothing but a contract. So now what we are going to do is we are going to log into the and we'll show. So we are logging to the test system and we'll show how it works. Okay, so this is a S4 HANA system. Nothing has changed based on ECC6 and S4 HANA on the invoicing part. If there's any real better changes, I'll reiterate it. So I'll log in, and again, you might not have to do this if you are on a single sign-on. So press Nestle. This is the user ID. So the first thing that you need to know is what is a purchase order and all those things. So in order to get a purchase order, you can go to ME23N. Okay, this is the transaction to display a purchase order. Now in order to get a purchase order, whether it can be invoiced or not, is you have to have we have to have one important thing. Means two important thing. First, the purchase order needs to be released if it has a release strategy. If it doesn't have a release strategy, which can be the case, then you don't want. But ideally every purchase order needs to have a release strategy. That means it needs to be approved by someone. So if I want to see whether it was approved or not, you can see the workflow. It's completed, so it was approved at some point of time. Okay, so if you see, this was approved. Okay, so now next portion is what you have to do is, once this PO is released, okay, then you have to enter a goods receipt. One important thing, in order to do a goods receipt is something that here it's the process. He first, you have a requirement, the customers have a requirement that, hey, I need suppose I need 10 pens. Okay, so then what I do is I find the vendor and I have a quote with the vendor. Suppose I have 10 pens and each pen is cost like $1. Okay, $1 pen, so it would be $10. Then what we do is I send you a purchase order. This is the purchase order. So this is not pen, this is something related with maintenance. And again, purchase order, what I am talking about is now material related purchase order. That means you are going to receive a physical good. You can have purchase order, which is this in this case, but you don't have the material number. Okay, so the material number can be a product number because you want to receive that inventory. Sometimes you want to receive services. So if you see, this is a service. Like if you are having SAP, the SAP licensing is not a physical thing. It's something which is a service. The consulting work that people do in order to implement any project is a service. There's no goods involved. Okay, so those are services. So in this case, let's go to the pen business. So you create a purchase order for 10 quantities. So if you see here, the quantity will be 10 and you can put a price of $1 or something. Okay, once you do that, okay, so then what happens is you can once you do that, so this purchase order is sent to your to the vendor. Now the vendor creates a sales order and creates a delivery. A delivery means, that means he first checks, the company checks whether they have enough stuffs, enough pens in the inventory. So if you have, suppose it, then it's a separate, then it's a different process. Like if you are a very trusted customer, they will say, okay, this customer is a trusted one, so what I can do is, now I'll give 10 pens. But if there is shortage in their inventory, they might need to buy something or do something, so they cannot meet the delivery date. So let me show you what's important here. You will have something called delivery dates. So here in line, by default we put delivery date is somewhere here, delivery address. So here you can see this is the address that needs to be there, and let's see, we can put condition control, and here this is the pricing. Let's go to the delivery tab, and material data, delivery schedules. So here you mention the delivery date. This is important because I need 10 pens, or I need one laptop, but I need it before this year, I need it within a week, otherwise I don't need it. So the delivery date is very important. So once you give the delivery date to the vendor confirms, gives a confirmation. So if you see, there is a tab called confirmation. The confirmation tab tells you whether they have confirmed, whether there was an order acknowledgement that they can do it, or there is different ships, advanced ship note, acknowledge only, acknowledge no PO changes, and all those things. So confirmation means, oh hey, customer, I have the stuff, you will get it on the delivery date. Now when you deliver it, you send a delivery from the sales order. The moment you send a delivery, what happens is, if it's a physical goods, what in SAP you have to do, you have to enter a goods receipt. So here if you see, there is a purchase order history, okay, that, and it has a goods receipt. So what we can do here is, what we can show is, I'll show the real thing, and we can create a purchase order from scratch. So what I'll be doing is, I'll be copying a purchase order. So I copy this purchase order. Like every technology, copy paste is easy, and then I'll edit it. Okay, so I'll change the thing to say laptops. Okay, and I'll put I want, suppose, 10 quantity, and I put is $1,300. Okay, and this is the thing. Now what I'll do is, here I will change, you can deliver, put the plans here. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to save this. So the PO is created. So if you see, this is the PO. So another important thing about SAP is, if you can go here and copy the PO number, or if you had just clicked here, it will have the new PO number. So you have the PO number, and if you see, there is a release strategy involved, and now it will go, it will get released, because so that there is not released because you have separate process flow for purchase orders. So now what we are going to do, we are going to just release it in different way. So now what we are going to do is, I'm going to release it in the back end. So I go here, I click on I give the purchase order number, and I'll just release it here, and I'll save it. So once I save it, if you notice, before this was like this, release possible, now it will turn into green. So now this PO has been released. Okay, now imagine I now I got the confirmation. Again, the confirmation bit is completely optional. Different companies will implement it, some companies will not. It's up to the company or the project. So now suppose I got, suppose, 5 laptops. Well, get 5 laptops. One important thing that has changed in S4 HANA, there was a transaction called MB01 that was used to enter goods receipt. Now, in order to simplify their process, they have now said, okay, I will not have multiple things, multiple option to solve one thing. Will give one option to solve one thing. In that way they can improve it further, rather than, because otherwise they had to improve more, lots of other options also. So this was a transaction that was there in SAP ECC6, and it is no more there in S4 HANA. So if you see, we can just click on that question mark button, and it says transaction MB01 is obsolete. Okay, so what you can do here is, we'll just exit. So the new transaction which was there in ECC6 but will be used more heavily is MIGO. Okay, so MIGO is the transaction that you can use heavily. Now if you see, um, this is the transaction where you can enter your the goods receipt. So I received 5 laptops. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to put that PO number here. So this is the PO number. Now here you will see 10 quantities. So suppose I received only how many quantities? So I can say here I received suppose 3 quantities, and you have to check this item is okay. Okay, and you have to put suppose uh, here ideally you put the invoice receipt number. So what you did, you ideally put the invoice receipt number or the delivery slip number. So I'll put suppose ABCD1234, that was the delivery slip. Now if I save it, I will probably get an error message that I am the PO creator, I cannot. So this is a SOX that's custom completely. You are the PO approver for this PO, hence cannot do GR. So I'll exit. Now there is another way you can do. There is multiple, like in MIGO. So I'll just trick the system. MIGO underscore GR. I'll do the same. I'll enter the PO number, and like, this is important. That's the best thing about SAP. It has a wonderful history. This history was there forever, from the 1990s, 1980s, before even Google came. So yeah, probably someone Google took it from here, because history is the most important thing. Okay, so we'll put item okay, and what I'll do is I will do 3 here, quantity in unit, and now I will save it. Okay, now if you see, the GR is done. Okay, now another important thing is, whenever there is a GR done, a new tab gets created called purchase order history. So and so when we did the GR, let's go to the GR piece. Okay, and we'll just put this GR number, and we'll see what gets generated. A GR is like a GR is a so when, in order to display a GR, you can do like this. Okay, material document, and I'll put this number, and by default it takes it because it's smart enough. So now what you can see here is, so it does not correspond with action to. Okay, so probably I'll do display. So then I'll execute. Now it's, see, this is the thing, important thing here. There is a financial document that also gets created. Now for some cases, the financial document, which is the 5.1, this document doesn't get created because of split valuation. So not every GR creates a accounting document. Sometimes it doesn't, based on split valuation, but most of the cases it will create. It's again based on your, how you have set your FICO. Okay, financial. So here the GR is done. Okay, now so let's see whether there is a transaction to, so let's see whether there's a special transaction to just display GR, to display stuff. So MIGO, GR, GS, you see, these are the, so goods movement, goods receipt, goods issue. So if I do this, let's see how it opens. So it opens like this, so you can create like this. So this is important. Now here what will show, there would be a new tab that will be created for this when a GR is done. So before there was no tab, now there would be a tab called purchase order history. Okay, so this is the GR. So from here you can see lots of things. Now lots of the times you might see some of these things are missing, so you can always go here and change the layout and add more stuff. So you, if you want, you can say, suppose I want to see the entry date. Okay, and I'll bring it. Entry date is where entry date will I put? Entry date, I just put, no, pick the wrong button. It should be this button. So entry date is here. Now lots of times you might not have some stuff. So if you see, this is the entry date, you might not have, or you might not be able to change. That means you don't have security. So whenever you don't have security, you need to type in /n su53. Okay, and once you do that, then it creates a screenshot with some red buttons, red things. So I'll do the here. So this is a fake one, but it will create something like that with more things like MB, or for MB, from for some other transaction code you cannot display. You need to take a screenshot and send it to the SAP security team. So I'll just go here, ME23N, and this is one of the beauty of SAP, it keeps the history. Okay, now here we have the GR done. Okay, now at this point of time what we can do is we can create the invoice. So in order to create an invoice, here uh, I'll go to /n miro. Okay, so here you can mention you need a company code. So, and here, so I'll give a, suppose now I have a real invoice. Okay, so if I have a real invoice, I'll put the invoice date, I'll put some, suppose it was how much was the amount, it was 1300. Okay, so I received, suppose 3, so 3900, invoice 123. Now here I will put the PO number. Oops, no, the PO number, this was the GR number. So here, if you are lost, you can always find the PO number from the search help. Okay, so if I suppose I know the invoicing party and all those things, you can easily find it. So but I know from now that this is my purchase order number. So here if you see, this is the amount. So total 1300, 3 quantities and laptops. Okay, so if you see, everything is there, and these are the different GL accounts and all those things. What you can do now is you can, so if there's a message that is coming or balance is 0, this is the perfect thing. Balance 0 means it's postable. So now what you can do is we will just hit the post button. Okay, and we'll see what happens. So once you hit the post button, is doing multiple stuffs here, and here if you see, this is the document that got generated. Okay, so now in order to see the document, you can go to transaction, you can go to MIR4, or you can just hit display and it will take you to the transaction that you just posted. So by default these are the transactions that got posted, and if you see, this is the financial document that got created. Okay, so you can see, if I go into header, this is the client, this is my ID that I created, it was entered through transaction code, entry date was this is the reference. Now this was the time of entry that I entered. Okay, and there are other stuff. So if you want to see the taxes, you can see taxes here based on, there's no taxes. Okay, there was no tax in it. Tax is very important. So if you want to see the local currency, you can see, so you based on your different preference, you can see different currency. This is important because there can be cross company where uh, a US company code is paying for something in Europe or something. So the US probably paid it in suppose Swiss franc, or but they want to see in their local currency. So this is the general ledger view, which is important. Ledger is always important. So these are the things here. You can always attach a document. Ideally, every PO invoices that you are paying manually should have a paper invoice, because how you are paying it. So you can always create. So this is a button that will be available in most of the transaction codes, and here you can do the document content process where you can create an attachment. And so if I click on create attachment, okay, and I can just go here desktop, and I can put something, suppose here, and I can just put some documents here, and it can attach. Okay, so here if we see, um, we can attach. So this is the attachment. I just got it, I just attached it. So in this invoice, okay, so you can see. So let's see, we can attach. Greatest thing about this, you can attach emails and everything here. So this is very important. Now let's go to, so this was one place how you can display document. Another way is you can go to slash NMIR4 transaction, and you provide this invoice document, and you can display it. This is the invoice. Now if you want to see the FI invoice and you know only the FI invoice number, so an invoice creates another financial document. Okay, so ideally what it did is a GR created a financial document, an invoice creates a financial document, and a payment also creates a financial. So I can have this one. So suppose I know this, and for this I need to know the company code. You can always go to FB03, okay, and give this number and this company code, and it will take you here. Now you want to see the portion of this, so you have to go here, environment, document environment, and you click on original document. Once you do that, you're back into that screen. So let's see, there is other stuff. There was something relationship viewer, so where you can see from here what is it. So this is a real good grid display, where you can see, oh, this is the idocs or whatever. There's an idoc there, there's a PO. So what is this idoc? Probably is this idoc is for, this is a PO. Yeah, this is the outbound idoc for the PO. So that gets replicated. Not everyone will have. You if you don't have Ariba or some other cloud solution, you will not have. But here, from here, you can see the relationship tree, which is nice, and you can see the workflows associated with this. So this is pretty neat. So this is there in ECC6 also. So one important thing that got changed is all the MB01 transaction has gone, and we have to use Migo or Migo underscore GR to do the invoicing. Now what we will see most important is how the purchase order now looks. Okay, so if you look at the purchase order now, there will be an invoice created. So lots of time you have different views, you might get overwhelmed which invoice is for which. So if you do this, there is this, if you click on this puzzle piece, and if you do GRI assignment, you will know this reference, this invoice is for this, so it will match. Okay, so everything matches. Now you might say there's some more dollars in it because this was taxes. Okay, so it did some accrual on the taxes bit. Now there might be a case where you want to do a credit. You had some issues where the 3 laptops came and 1 laptop was bad. So how you want to do a credit on a goods receipt. So you can do a goods receipt, we can do a credit. So what we are going to do is we are going to go into slash n migo underscore, it was gr, let's go there for now, and we'll go here and we'll do return delivery, and this is the number, and we will put abcd So what we are going to do is we are going to send it back. Hey, one was bad and I didn't like it. Now lots of time here is a process where you have to click item OK, which may be annoying because you want to save it and it will say you have not flagged this item OK. And sometimes what happens is if you are in this tab and you hit this, it tells you, but it's way in the bottom and it doesn't show it. By default you can have a setting set up, so you can put default value. Okay, and here you can say always proposed OK function in future. Okay, so and you will click on adopt. Okay, and there are other stuffs you can do also. So I'll click adopt. Okay, now what I am going to do, we'll do the same thing before. We'll say no and we'll do slash and me go underscore gr. So if I do this, so this is return delivery, and I have to, if you hit enter also it shows. So here it's enter, and if you see here is the movement type. Here what we can do is we are going to return to vendor. You have different movement types. So for gr is into warehouse 101. I will do this into goods receipt for purchase order into warehouse reversal. I will do this, or I can do return delivery to vendor because I didn't like it. Okay, now these are different. So generally the odd one is something that you're receiving, and the even one is something that you're taking it out. So you see all these are reversals, so these are different things, and this is very important on the inventory management side. So what I'll do is I'll do return to delivery and I'll click save and enter a reason for movement. So where is the movement reason for movement? Here you can say poor quality, incomplete, damaged. So these are different things. And when you do this, when you do a return delivery, ideally what happens, that package, that laptop will be taken out and moved to a truck and will be shipped to, will ship to the vendor, and the vendor will do a reverse delivery on their side because there's damage, and they will give you a credit because I paid for 3 laptops and one is damaged, so I should get the money back for the second one, for one. So now I'll do a post. Once I did this, let's see how the PO looks. Okay, so we just need to click on this, and if you see, this is the invoice that got generated. So I did a minus. Did I receive, did I did all those things? Yes. So all the, so assuming all the 3 was bad, I didn't change the quantity to 3. So you can click here, and if you see, I did for all, I should have changed it to 1, but it's fine. So all the 3 laptops were bad. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a credit, so because I need my money back. They cannot just give the money back based on a gr or the thing. There needs to be a document. So what I'm going to do is the same, and I'll just put damaged here as the name, and I'll put 3900, and I'll put purchase order. An important thing is a credit memo. If you put credit and I'll click on this, this is the one, and I'll save this. Once I save it, this will create a credit memo, so I'll get my money back. Okay, and this happens all the time. You buy stuff in Amazon, you didn't like it, it was broken, it didn't fit your size, of course you return it. So here, if it's the document is now created, so we'll just display the document. Okay, now we display the document, and here is the credit. So what we can do is we can go to the follow on document. The same thing, it creates a financial document, and we have reversed this. Now if you see, this is the thing you get. Okay, you can see the general ledger view, the same thing. Now what we are going to do is we can go to follow on, and we want to see that relationship browser, which was really nice. So here you can see, this is the relationship browser. So this is the one, the material document. This is the incoming invoice. And now click on that. This is the accounting document and all those things. So here 388, 387. So these are the ones. So now what we are going to see, important part is to see the PO. So I think we clicked on here. Whoops, not this one. We went from to the GR. So now there would be another PO. So it's now C00. So I just nixed out. I paid this. I got this money back. Important thing, in order to know how much is left, how much is done, you can click on status and you can see 13,000. So if you see still to be delivered is 13,000. So this portion, again, what we are going to do is we are going to suppose now suppose the vendor has sent me some more goods. What I'm going to do is I'll go to migo underscore gr and I'll create another gr. Okay, so here every time you have to go here, make sure you always put goods receipt, and here you put the PO number. Okay, and if you backspace, you have the history. That's the best part. Now suppose the the vendor sends me 5 invoices, so I'll put ABC 234. Okay, and I'll say quantity is 5. One important thing, if you notice before, this is now checked, so I don't need to do anything. Now here what I'll do is I'll hit the save button. Okay, now if I hit the save button, this is now created. Now we are going to see how it affects the PO. Okay, so I'll go here, and if you see, this is the amount, this is the amount we delivered. Okay, 5,1300 into 5 is 6,500. So now we will see the gr also. This is done, just 101. So if you see the time of, so if you want, you can put the time of entry. Okay, this is the gr we created. It's by, ascending order. Now what we are going to do is we are going to again invoice. Okay, so now we'll do a partial invoice. Actually 5 came, but they send me for 3. Okay, so now what I am going to do is, this is suppose the document date, this is the amount they gave me, suppose 3, and this is the invoice number. They should give me another invoice number. Most of the time this the amount and the vendor has a duplicate check. So ideally no vendor should send me the should be same should send me an invoice number that is duplicate for different amounts, because that's a legal issue. They cannot. This is the primary key for a vendor. Okay, so then they can have legal problem. So if I again see, you can do a backspace, you press enter. Here we have received only 5. So what I can do is I will do select only 3. Okay, so here you can see which one is ours. This is the one. So the 834 is mine. Okay, so okay, this is credit still. We'll change it because it gets defaulted. So here you see, before it was credit, that's why it's showing all those two. Now what I'm going to do is we are going to do 3,900, and I'll do a quantity of 3. Okay, now I'll save it. So once I save it, this document gets saved. We'll just see what is there in the invoice. So it got for 3,900. I can see the follow-on document. If I want, I can go, here is the follow-on document I just posted. I'll go to the relationship browser and I can see all the invoices. So if you see, these are all the invoices, 387, 388. These are the other invoices. This was probably the 388 was a credit memo, right? So now what we are going to do is we will see in the PO what happens. So if you notice, let's go into the header. We want to show this is the status. Okay, not invoiced was showing. Now we will see it's invoiced, partially delivered and partially invoiced. Okay, so this is important, partially invoiced. And now if I go here, this is not showing because it's partially delivered invoice. Down payments means you have already paid those. Okay, now if you see here, this is the document that just got generated. Now here you still have enough GR, enough money to do another invoice for 2. So if I want to do, suppose they send me 3 and now they want to do they send me another 2, so now I will do another Mito. So if you see, only 2 will be open now. So I'll do this. I'll do, suppose now the number is new 7 and I put 2600 because that's the amount left, and they shipped me 2 laptops. And now here you can put the PO number. Once we put the PO number, by default, now here you have options to enter multiple POs, but it needs to be for the same vendor. Okay, now here you see 2600 this, and what I can do is, suppose here you can change the amount also, but it's not advisable. If you want to change the amount, you need to change here taxes and all those things, so it can be tricky. Okay, then we have variation on the four-way match: price discrepancy, quantity discrepancy, delivery discrepancy, and all those things. So we'll just post it and we'll see what happens. So now here if you see, I'll do other documents. Okay, and here if you see there's nothing left, we'll see what happened to this. You see everything is invoiced now. So now there might be something 430. This is for the tax bit. So tax is always how much? 6.5, 8.25. So that adds up around. Different country, different portion of the states have different taxes. So tax is another beast. It's a big subject. And so now what we are going to do is we'll show you something where lots of time you want to see uh, stuffs like whether there is any GR available. And one way to find GR available is just going to ME23N, and if you go to ME23N for this invoice, we'll see there is no GR available because everything adds up. This minus this is 0. Okay, so it doesn't add up. So there's another way where you can see it, because it's not possible for you to look at every PO number individually when you have a list. So there is a transaction called MB5S. Okay, so here if you put MB5S, and suppose I put for, suppose here you can put purchasing group and other stuff. So I'll do, suppose I put the PO number here. Okay, what was the PO number? It will be here, right? Yes, PO number is here and here, and from there we will find whether there's a vendor we can find. So here it doesn't show anything, so that means there is no GRI imbalance, so there is no GR available. But what we can do is we can just go here, we can go to ME23N and get the vendor out. So this is the vendor, and we can put a vendor number and we can see this one, and it will run. And here if you see, there is GR available in this PO, there GR. So whenever this minus this is more than 0, that means you can do GR. Okay, so this minus this, so this GR available here. So what we can do is I'll just go here and I'll pick one of this PO and I'll try to do a GR on that. Let's see whether I can do MIRO, and I'll put this. So this is a way where in the procurement team and AP team can find out whether there is a PO already available that they can use, because lots of time what happens is they are entering the invoice based on the paper document or the scan document that the vendor has sent. Now if they have sent, lots of times the vendor sends you the wrong PO number, and they don't update the PO number, so you're lost. AP doesn't know what was the real PO number, so they will go to MB5S and find out what is the correct PO number. So here we will not, we'll just put 100 for the sake, and I'll put the PO number whether I can utilize or not. So if you see, I can, so check if it's already entered. Okay, we'll put 4, and we'll see whether I can use some of this. So I think whatever is left, so can I put 100 at the rate of 1 quantity? So there is a balance problem, because what's the message? Balance sheet 100, 200 credits. Okay, so let's see whether we can do a credit. If I do a credit on this, so it's thinking. So, and this process is the same across S4 HANA and ECC6, so there's no real difference. I am reiterating this because there's lots of news on the front that there's a lot of changes that has been done, but actually there's nothing. uh, Not much. There is some significant changes on vendor master, customer master, BP. There's some huge improvement on the on the user friendly portion on the front end through Fiori and other stuff, but not much here. So if I do here, I can enter a credit and we can save it. So once we enter the credit, it will create a invoice document, and from here, so if I go now here, this was the num 450230035. I'll just see what change it happened. So before, now it has some more changes. So we changed quantity received, quantity invoiced. So there are changes on the lines, certainly. Okay, so this one is very important, this particular transaction MB5S. Okay, and if you want, you can create a Z transaction that we have built, where you have more options, because in this selection screen you have less. Here you can put company codes and all those things, so if you want. So this is everything on the PO invoice front. So we learned how to enter an invoice. We learned that it starts with a PO process, then we receive actual goods or services, and then we do the invoicing portion on the uh, on based on the goods receipt. And then you can get a credit based on return delivery. The stuff was bad and all those things, damaged, and you want to return, so you need to issue a credit memo and you want to do a return delivery. Important thing that has changed in S4 HANA is all the MB01 transaction is gone, and MiGo is back with all guns. And we saw a transaction which is very important is MB5 is to find POs that are open and has a goods receipt that can be utilized by AP. The reason behind is vendors sometimes doesn't know the correct PO number, and they don't have the technology to correct the PO number, or they're just lazy. So it happens all the time. Another important thing that can be done is through goods receipt. On the service front, you can create a service entry sheet which is similar to a goods receipt, but in those cases, you don't enter through MiGo. You enter through this transaction ML81N, and that that creates a goods receipt through a background job. And yeah, and the posting portion is the same across. Now there are some cases where there is invoices that gets created automatically, where those are ERS vendors. So in order to check whether stuff is ERS or not, you have to set it up in vendor master. And so that means ERS means evaluated receipt. When you're receiving it, you are just actually authorizing it to pay, so you don't need to ask AP to manually enter those invoices. Now there are stuffs which is called invoicing plan PO, which doesn't create even a goods receipt. The invoice gets created automatically. This is for any lease payment like rental payments that you want to pay them, and which is very critical, and you can set it as a schedule. So the thing is, you have to have a regular amount, and it should be on a regular duration. So in those cases, you probably don't want to receive invoices, you just want to pay, especially rental agreement and lease payments. So this covers all everything on the PO invoicing front.